We are doing our functional fitness flow, so we will need a broomstick, a TheraBand and a light kettlebell or a lightweight. Okay, so right, so if you lie on your back, put all out of the way. So let's start with connection, posture and breath. So we're going to think about where we're feeling our connection with the floor. So we want to feel it underneath both feet, underneath the lumbar sacral junction, underneath the TL junction, both shoulder blades and the back of the head. So let's start with the feet. So we're just going to shift the weight from side to side. We want to get a little bit more balance so we're feeling that pressure underneath both feet equally. And then once you've got your feet balanced, you're going to think about where you're feeling that pressure underneath each individual foot. So are you feeling it more on the outside of the foot or are you feeling it more on the inside? If you're feeling it more on the outside, you're going to try and pull that inner arch down to the floor without lifting the outer arch. And then if you're feeling it more on the inner arch, you want to pull it down on the outside of the foot without lifting that inner arch. So we're feeling that connection underneath both feet equally, and then you're feeling it underneath the medial and lateral aspect of each foot equally. Okay, so let's work our way to the lumbar sacral junction, so junction between your lower back and your pelvis. So we're going to start by tilting the pelvis backwards and forwards. So anterior tilt, posterior tilt, forwards, backwards, lifting the spine away from the floor as we tilt it forwards, and then reverse peeling into the floor when we tilt it backwards. Forwards and back. Forwards, back. So keep tilting forwards and backwards until you find the midpoint between the two end ranges. That will be your neutral spine and neutral pelvis. So your lower back should be flat on the floor. You shouldn't be able to get your hands underneath your back. And then we're going to work our way up to the TL junction. So think of your pelvis and your rib cage like the pages of a book. So we want the pages to be closed, so parallel pelvis and rib cage. Don't want this open book appearance, this rib flaring or lumbar extension, so we want to pull the pages together and you'll feel better connected underneath your lumbar sacral junction, your TL junction when you do that. So then work our way up to the shoulder blades. Again, you're going to shift the weight from side to side, make sure you're feeling nice and balanced between underneath both shoulder blades, and then make sure the shoulders are in a neutral position, so out of this protracted, internally rotated and elevated position, we're going to pull the shoulders back and down towards the back pockets, into a neutral position, activating around the back of the shoulder and underneath. And then we're going to work our way up the head, so the head is going to push straight back down towards the floor. So we're going to feel those muscles working at the front of the neck. We don't want to let the head tilt backwards or forwards. Head straight back down. Okay, so once we've got connected, we're going to put one hand on the chest, one hand on the tummy, and we're just going to get our breath in the right order first of all. So breathing in, feel that expansion underneath the hand on the tummy. Breathe out, feel the hand on the tummy lowering. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, through pursed lips. Okay, once you've got your breath in the right order, we're going to think about creating our 360-degree breath. So you're going to put your hands around your waist and you want to feel that expansion the whole way around. So you're breathing in, feeling those muscles expand the whole way around your abdomen. So if you're struggling to activate or feel those muscles expand the whole way around, if you just cough, feel those muscles expand as you cough, and then use that as a wake up to your brain to let your brain know where the muscles are. Breathe and expand. Should be equal from side to side and equal from front to back. So if there's an area that you're struggling with, just focus on that area, grab hold, give it a pinch, cough again, feel that expansion, and breathe. Okay, so once we've got the 360 breath, we're going to work on the brace. So what we want to do when we're doing something that needs more stabilisation, we're going to create the 360 breath and then do an outward push with the muscles. So imagine that you're farting, so that feeling that you create when you're about to fart. Outward push after you've taken the breath in, and as you breathe out, try not to let the muscles relax. Just do a couple more breaths, holding onto this brace, so this brace breathing. Okay, so if you can, grab hold of the broomstick and just get your arms nice and wide apart, and we're just going to start by flexing the shoulders, taking the broomstick above the head, and then back down, and up, and down. So when you're taking your arms above your head, if you start to feel your ribs starting to flare or your lower back going into extension, we're just going to pause, we're going to hold that position, breathe, expand, and then try and get a little bit further back on the exhalation. And we want to try and get the wrists and the back of the hand down towards the floor, but you don't want to lose it into this wrist extension, so the wrist wants to stay neutral, but only go as far back as you can go with the ribs and pelvis in connection. And then gradually work your way in, so you're pulling your hands together. So you'll start to get a little bit tougher to get the arms back. So just bring them together, just as close as you can, keeping the rib cage down. Keeping the elbows straight as well, try not to just bend the elbows to let your arms come back. Okay, so put the broomstick down, and then we're just going to lift one leg into the air and lower. Lift the opposite leg, lower. Opposite leg, lower. So alternating legs, keeping control of the hips and pelvis and lower back. This movement wants to come from the hip, not from the pelvis or lower back, so we don't want to go into that anterior tilt. And then we're going to take our 360 breath, create the brace, and lift both legs up into the air and lower. And lift, lower, lift, lower. And then lift them up into the 3-month supine. Feet and ankles neutral, feet higher than the knees, knees over the hips, hips in external rotation. Grab hold of the broomstick again, nice and wide, and take the arms back. Keeping the rib cage and pelvis connected. Start to move your hands a bit closer together. Do that. And then keep the arms back and just do some toe taps. If you can't do this without the ribs flaring or the lower back coming up, just bring the arms back up over your chest. Keeping the lower back nice and neutral, pelvis neutral. If you can start to extend the hips, alternating legs. And then bring your legs back up into your 3-month supine, arms up, and then we're just going to take the arms back, bring them up, toe tap, double toe tap. So we're doing hips then shoulders, so shoulders, hips, shoulders, hips, shoulders, hips. And then if you can progress on to double hip, double shoulders, do a couple more. Okay, put the broomstick to one side, and we're just going to go into some rolling. So we're going to put the hands up into the air, fingertips pointed to the ceiling. Lift the head slightly, look the direction you're travelling to, and roll nice and controlled. Top hand reaching for something. Roll back onto the other side and back. So we want to make sure that pelvis and rib cage and pelvis and shoulders come at the same time, so they don't disconnect. So you don't go pelvis then shoulders, or shoulders then pelvis and flop down. So you want to control the movement. You've got a Lego body. Body is moving as one. Making sure you've got your straight spine when you land on your side, so you don't just end in a banana. So you should have a gap underneath your side in the floor. And then we're going to come up into a low oblique sit. And then come up, bring the knees together, because we're going to come up into a low oblique side plank, or not a low oblique, like a low sit side plank. So we're going to lift the pelvis off the floor. We're just going to hold it first of all. Try and make sure that you've not got a floppy spine, so nice and strong. Nice and active through the shoulder, so keep that shoulder externally rotated and depressed, and then we're going to rotate round. So open the legs as we're opening up, and then round, hinge on the shoulder, and round. Making sure the shoulders and hips come at the same time again, so they don't want to disconnect. Let's do one more. Lower the hip. Come up into a high sit, but keep the legs together. Lift the pelvis again, lift the hip off the floor, and just hold. Nice straight spine, and then we're going to open again and close, open, close, open, close. Let's do a couple more. And then put your legs out, so we're going to come up into an actual side plank. Hold it for a little bit, but your shoulders probably fried, so you're going to come round into your plank position. Try and make sure when you come that your shoulders and pelvis move at the same time. And then we're going to go round onto the other side. So we're just going to hold this side plank a second. And then come down onto your side, put your knees together, lift up, and just hold it. And then we're going to rotate. Do a couple more. Lower down into your low sit plank, side plank, so keep the knees together, lift up and hold. And then we're going to rotate, so separate the legs. Couple more. Lower down. Then we're going to take the legs out because we're going to go into side plank again and then come into plank. So just hold the plank. Try and make sure you've got your neutral and upper back nice and flat. Just going to hold that position. And then lower the knees down. And then come down into low quadruped. So we're going to tilt the pelvis, find your neutral spine, pull the shoulders back and down, so we're activating through the back of the shoulder and underneath. And we're making sure we've got that extension in the upper back. Nice long neck, nice long spine. And we're just working on our breath, so hold that position. And then flex the hip. So we're shuffling the bum backwards. And come forwards. Extending the hip, keeping that pelvis neutral, lower back neutral. So really slow and controlled. Think about the movement. Think about what you're feeling in your back. Just do one more. And then come up into quadruped. Find your neutral. Upper back nice and flat. Active shoulders. Push the floor away with your hands. And then hinge backwards again. Pulling down into the floor with the hands, so you're activating through your shoulders more. And then forwards. And back. Forwards. So we're just warming up the hinge movement for our squat. Making sure that we keep the pelvis and lower back nice and neutral as we flex the hip and extend the hip. So then curl the back feet under, create your brace, and then lift your bum, lift your knees, and then we're just going to hold this position. And then flex the hip. So it's flexing the shoulder as well. Try and keep long through the spine, so you're extending through the upper back and then come back. Try not to lose the pelvis as you come forwards. And back. And forwards. And down. Give your legs a little shake. Okay, curl the back feet under again, get your neutral, push the floor away with your hands, lift your bum, and then we're going to hinge and walk the hands backwards into your squat, and then hold and stand. Okay, grab hold of your TheraBand, put it underneath your feet, round the back of the head, and we're just going to do some good mornings. So make sure your feet are sort of hip distance apart, and we're going to hinge the hip, push the bum backwards, bend the knees slightly, keep the neutral spine, and come back up. Down. Keep it nice and long through the upper back. Keep your pelvis neutral. Let's do a couple more. Okay, put the TheraBand to the side. Grab hold of the stick behind your shoulders. Find your neutral spine again. We'll just do some hinging, so some good mornings with the broom. Really just trying to ingrain that movement pattern. Let's do a couple more. Okay, and we're going to do a back squat now. So find your neutral spine, keep holding onto the broom, and then we're just going to go down as far as you can go with a good, nice, long spine, and up again. Down, up. Correct each time, so you're going to find your neutral. Breathe 360 and lower down. And then push the broom up into the air, and you're going to do an overhead squat. You might need to take your arms a little bit wider, and down and up. Bring it to the front, and you're going to go into a front squat. And up, push it above your head, overhead squat, and then to the back of the shoulders for a back squat, really slow and controlled, making sure you know what you're doing with your pelvis. Push it up into the air, overhead squat, at the front, front squat, up into the air, overhead squat, round the back, back squat. Last time, find your neutral, breath, down, to the front. Oh, just got a splinter. Neutral, front squat. Bring the bar down to your thighs. And we're going to do some broomstick deadlifts. So, neutral spine and hinge the hip back, neutral spine, so make corrections and back up. So we're pushing the bum backwards, bending the knees slightly, nice upper back, nice and long, don't lose the lower back into extension or flexion. Keep doing that movement in your own time. Just a couple more. Put the broomstick down, and then we're going to roll down. Hands down the legs, walk the hands out, and then into your downward dog. Nice stretch out of the back and the legs. Feel that nice stretch. Breathe in. 360 degrees. Try and straighten your legs if you can. And then lower the knees down. And then take one leg forward, so into your tripod. And we're just gonna hinge backwards. So only go as far back as you can with that back leg, back knee, and back. So hinging backwards and forwards. Try and be nice and long and straight through the spine. Try not to just round. And then you're going to come up into your high kneel, grab your light weight, hold it in front of your chest, just going to hold it down, and then we're just going to hinge backwards. If you can't do this with a weight, just do it without the weight. Couple more. Okay, put the kettlebell down, but we're going to use it again in a second. We're going to use the stick again in a second as well. But we're just going to do a few stands from high kneeling, just to get the movement right first. So, pelvis level with the floor, neutral spine. Make sure the foot's not too narrow, foot to the side, knee tracking second and third toe, lean into it and stand. Take the back leg back, slowly lower down. Slowly lower down. So we'll do 5 on this leg, and then get the kettlebell. I think that's 3, I've lost count now. I'm going to do 2 more. One more. Grab hold of your kettlebell, again put it into your chest, and we're just going to stand, back leg back, slowly lower down, stand, slowly lower down, reset, stand, slowly down. We'll do 2 more. One more. And then grab hold of the stick. So overhead lunge. So put your bar above your head. Take the leg forwards. Keeping the rib cage and pelvis in connection. Curl the back foot under and stand. Down, again we'll do 5. Two more. Okay, step down, hands down, front foot back, back foot front, and then some tripod hinges. Again, try and keep nice and long through the spine. Always think about your breath as well, focus on your breath. I find it quite difficult because I'm constantly talking, but you guys should be constantly thinking about your 360 breath. It just makes you much more stable when you're doing the movements. Do one more. Into your high kneel, grab your kettlebell, pelvis level, and then hinge back. Do a couple more. Put the kettlebell down. So we're going to do 5 high kneel to stands without weight, 5 with the weight, and 5 overhead. So pelvis level, neutral spine, foot to the side, not too narrow. Curl the back foot and stand. Slowly, slowly lower. Make sure the pelvis is level with the floor as you're going up and down. Ooh, lost my balance. Grab your weight when you're ready. Five with the weight. Remember, slowly, slowly lower down. 3 more. Me. Ooh, I'm rushing. slowly slowly down. Okay, grab your broom above your head, pelvis level, 5 overhead lunges, rib cage and pelvis in connection throughout. Two more to go for me.